what's going on, guys? So what we got for today is we're gonna be switching out these nasty old brakes I've talked about before. They're getting pretty gross. For any of you that have an S197, you probably know how bad the stock brakes are. They're really spongy. So today what we got some powerstop Evolution rotors drilled and slotted, as well as some powerstop trackday ceramic pads. NASCAR speed. To get started with this brake install, we gotta pop this old caliper off. I'm gonna guess this first one is, let's start at a 14. Nope, smaller. 12. I bet it's a 13. Nope, it's a 12. Nope. Alright, there we go. You don't want to just let the caliper hang on the brake line because that can damage it. So I got a jack stand here, and now we can get these old brake pads out of here. There's two more 15mm bolts on the back here to get this caliper bracket off. Alright, there's the caliper bracket. Okay, now this old rotor should just come right off. Oh, this is really stuck. I had to use some penetrating fluid to get the rotor unrusted from the hub, but it's off now. Why does it look so clean in here? Wow. I don't know why it was rusted on so bad if it's that clean. I'm just cleaning off this hub, so if we ever need to take off the new rotors, it's not going to be a big problem, and so we can get even seating of the rotor onto the hub so there's no vibration in the brake pedal. And here's the new rotor. Now this rotor, oh, this is front driver's side. These are side specific, so make sure that you put the right one in the right spot because of the direction of the slots and the holes that are drilled in it, because they won't scrub properly. Because what these slots here are for is to scrub the brake pad as it goes by to make an even surface and to have less brake fade, and the holes are just for cooling. You want to make sure you always brake clean your new rotors before you put them on, because they come with an oil all over them to make sure they don't rust in shipping. There we go. Those look so good. And a tip for you guys. We gotta compress the caliper pistons to get the new brake pads in because they're gonna be bigger than the old ones. And a tip that I've heard is opening the brake master cylinder to release pressure from the system, so when you compress it, the air has somewhere to go and it doesn't burst any lines or anything. I got this neat little tool here that locks into the caliper right there, and you take an old brake pad. Where did I put them? Right here. Take an old brake pad, put it up to the surface, and then put in this tool and start compressing. And there, caliper is compressed and ready for new pads. Now we can throw this caliper bracket back on, but I'm gonna take off this old hardware inside of it. This used to hold on the brake pads, but it's all old and gross. And the pads came with new hardware, so I'm gonna use those. And throw this John in. Okay, so now we're gonna throw in this new hardware. These, I forget what they're called. I think they're called, I'm not even gonna try and remember what they're called, but they just snap in here. So I put on the friction paste or whatever it's called to prevent like squeaking and stuff on the brakes. And now we're just gonna throw on the caliper. There we go. Ugh. These pads are gross. Come on. There we go. It's off. Take this high temp paste, and what I'm doing is I'm putting it here on the inside of these brackets because it helps with brake vibration and brake noise whenever you're braking, so the pad doesn't vibrate inside the clips. All right, this is all set up. Now we're gonna throw in these pads. Oof. Look how sick this is, guys. My brand new e-brake cable that I just put on, sheared clean off. That's crazy. Are you kidding me? Ford really has different sized bolts for the front and back rotors. So it's a 12 on the front rotors to get off the caliper, and it's a 13 on the back rotors. That doesn't make sense. Get out these old pads. No, I don't know why, but the new rear pads didn't come with hardware here, so we're gonna have to reuse this old crusty hardware. I'm gonna try and clean it up. So now for this rear caliper, it's not as easy as the fronts because the e-brake is in line here. For these rear calipers, you have to twist back the piston instead of, oh, that's money. First one I picked out fit. So what you do, find a plate that fits your piston. You take this plate, put it right there. Then I guess you just twist this thing until the piston collapses. All right, that should be compressed enough. Guys, like my bump stops, my car's too low in the rear, so I had to cut the bump stop in half because my car was just riding on bump stop and it felt awful. Caliper brackets in, gotta slide in these pads. These ones don't have the little springs on the side, they have the spring on the top that goes to the caliper. All right, boys, the GoPro died on me, but while I was gone, I went ahead and I finished this side. So they're all on. Gotta test them now. What we have to do is, when I first start it, the brakes should be really squishy and not have any pedal feel at all. We gotta pump them up to get the pistons to retract back onto the rotor since we pressed them off. pedal feel. It has really good pedal feel right now, so we're gonna test them. Ooh, they work. Let's go. I'm so happy. We're not done yet though. We still have a lot of work to do on these. When you get new brakes, especially high performance pads, they have to build up a surface on the surface of the pad that has come to temp and it has heat cycled before. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to go out and do some 80-mile-an-hour pulls, slam on the brakes a couple of times, get some heat through the pads and rotors so they seat well together, and then we're gonna feel the full stopping power of these new brakes. Now before we go and bed the brakes in, I got this Coebeau FX1 Pro micro suede. I just got a driver's side one, but we're gonna fix this park bench problem I got going on here where I slide all over the seat every time I'm driving around. So we're just gonna get these 2 front bolts off here. On the back, there's just 2 more bolts underneath these plastic shrouds. We gotta get out somehow. Look at all these quarters. I just found like $5. Oh, that's gross. That one had stuff on it. The seat is technically out, but before we disconnect any of the wires underneath, it's a good idea to disconnect your battery because we're gonna have to disconnect airbag sensors. And I don't want airbag lights. Hopefully I don't get airbag lights, and I don't want the airbag to actually go off. There's 2 little clips under here. And then reconnect these wires. It says okay on here. And when you're doing a seat and you're not doing a harness or a harness bar, you want to put the buckle through here. So if you get in an accident, it's not going to hit you in your abdomen and stuff, and it's not going to crush your internal organs. It's going to keep you by your hips. Because if you put it over the bucket here, it's just going to crush your lungs and your abdomen. It's not smart to do just harnesses on a car that doesn't have a cage, because the harness bar isn't going to be as secure as a cage or a seat belt into the frame, and it has more chance of breaking. You're safer off just going with the stock seat belt. No airbag light. All right, boys. So it's the next day now. It got too dark last night. I didn't want to go bed the brakes in the dark, so we're gonna go do it now. And according to powerstop's instructions for how to bed the brakes in, we have to do 10 aggressive decelerations from 60 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour, and then 10 more aggressive decelerations from 80 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour. And then we have to drive around for 10 minutes, let the brakes cool. So we're gonna go out to an open road where we can do this without slamming on the brakes in front of people. Gosh, these brakes are strong. I barely touched the pedal there. Holy crap. That was the first break in. Now we gotta do 9 more. So this seat is incredible too. It like holds me right to the car. They're getting way stronger. Oh my gosh. It almost wanted to lock up the fronts there. Oh, 7. It's wanting to pull me out of my seat. Starting to smell the brakes. All right. I think that was about 10. So now we just gotta cruise at about 35 without using the brakes too much. And let them cool down, then we can hit the 80-mile-an-hour ones. I had to let the brakes cool off in between the first run so the rotors don't get warped, so they stay flat. But here we go. Oh my gosh, those are so strong. All right, that was 1. My eyes feel like they're gonna pop out of my head. 4. Oh yeah, the brakes are stinking. Getting a little bit of trailing from the back end. 1 more. We're getting a little hot. All right, there we go. We're done. Now we just gotta cruise around with minimal braking for about 10 minutes to let the brakes cool off. The rotors are probably like 200 something degrees right now. And if I were to like hold the brakes or sit on the brakes for a long time, it could warp the rotors. So you want to cruise around, let the fins cool off the rotors for about 10 minutes, and then you can proceed to use brakes like normal. I just finished the cool down. Everything seems to be working fine. The brakes feel normal. There's no vibration in the pedal. That was a big concern I had, is possibly getting a pedal vibration from not doing proper bedding. But it looks like we did everything right. And I'm just gonna go ahead, go up here, turn around, and make sure everything looks all right before we end out this video. But that's about it. If you guys watched this far, I appreciate it so much. Thank you. The only problem I found is there is a little bit of a creak in the seat. I just want to make sure everything's tight. It's probably all these loose wires I got hanging out under here. Oh, it looks like it's just the slider rail that has the creak. That's not a big deal. Oh my gosh, this is a lot of brake dust. I don't know if you guys can see it, but my wheels are literally like charcoal gray now. Not even that much heat coming off the rotors. They're cooling really well, it seems like.